Alright, in this video, we're going to go through on the Anglo-Chinese School Primary 5 End of Year Exam, Math, Paper 1, Booklet A, Primary 5. So let's get started on the first question. Alright, the first question says, which one of the following is 48,005 minutes? Alright, so simply what we can do is we can just write down what is this 48,000 over here. So 48,000 is basically 48 and then with three zeros over here. Right, next one is we have 5, right? So we have 5 over here. Let's make it into a different color, maybe this color. And number 5 is basically like this, right? So in essence, if you were to combine these two together, right? So if I were to duplicate these two, right? So 48 plus 5, okay? And then what will this become? Essentially, this will become 48,005, right? So it's like this, part plus 5 in this case over here. And that's it. So you need to just find 48,005, which in this case is this answer over here. Right, that's about it. Okay, so the answer to this is number 2. Okay, which is somewhere, yeah, you can shade it over here. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 2. So question 2 says, Andy won $500 at a story writing competition. He gave $150 to his father. What percentage of his prize money did Andy give to his father? So basically, if you want to get a percentage, we want to get the total amount, and then we also need to get the amount that is converted into percentage. So in this case, we have over here 150, which is this amount, divided by 500 as a fraction. Generally, why I like to use fraction is because we want to simply visualize it, right? Okay, so in this case, what will then convert this fraction on the left to a fraction where I can have my denominator to be 100? Okay, so in this case, if you guess, if I were to have 500 divided by, right, 5, then that means it will become 100 in this case over here, right? So with that, we can also divide 5 to the numerator, and this will give us 30. And since 30 of 100 is as simple as just multiplying by 100, you will get this as 30%. And that's your answer to this question, 30%. So in this case, the answer to this question is option number 2, 30%. All right, let's move on to question 3. It says, which of the following is equal to 2 out of 9? Okay, so in this case, we have number 2 over here. And then we have the fraction 2 out of 9. Okay, so how are we going to convert this mixed number into a, from what we see over here, an improper fraction? Okay, so in this case, so I'm just going to write down, basically what we need to do is to convert mixed number to improper fraction. Okay, so how we do that is basically with this, what we can do is we will have pretty straightforward. So this is how I usually do it. Basically, you have 2, you multiply it by 9 in this case over here. So when you have 2 multiplied by 9, and then after that, same thing from 9, and then you plus 2 over here, right? Like this. Okay, so what this will look like will be, in this case, oops, let me just copy this. How will this look like is basically 2 times 9 plus 2 for the numerator. Okay, and then after that, the denominator is 9 over here. Okay, so in this case, we can just calculate the numerator. Okay, and 2 times 9 plus 2, what this will become is, in this case, 20, right? So if you want to break it down, it's basically 2 times 9 first plus 2, right? So 2 times 9 is 18 plus 2 is 20. Okay, so the answer is 20 out of 9. With that said, the answer to this question 3 is 3. All right, that's it. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 4. Okay, given that ZW is the height of triangle VZX, identify a base that is related to the height ZW. So basically what we want to get is the base that is related to the height ZW. So what I usually do or recommend you to do is to just get a highlighter, and then after that you can highlight where is the height. Okay, so ZW is the height in this case over here. Okay, so in this case, let me just write it down. This is the height over here, right? So now you know the height is ZW. Okay, actually maybe not highlighter, but let me use a line instead, right? So the line ZW is the height. Then what is the base? Okay, so if you think the base is Vx, then you're right. Okay, so you always want to get the perpendicular to your height in this case, right? So I'm going to put the base as green in this case. So I'm going to write down also that, right, your height is perpendicular to the base, right? So that's number 1. And then number 2 is that base must be, so point number 1 is height is this, point number 2 is base must be a full line in this case. So the answer to this will be Vx or Xv. That means it is option number 1 for the base itself, right? There you go. Okay, so sometimes common mistake, which I'm going to write down as well. Common, oops, in red actually. Common mistake is thinking common mistake is just Wx, which is incomplete line, right? Which is wrong. Wrong answer. Wx, X or VW, cause it's incomplete line in this case. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Okay. Let me just make this a bit here. Okay. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 5. Question number 5 says 30,000 plus 800 plus 50 plus 4. Okay. So if I were to write this down as a working, all right, so we look something like this. Then what you're going to do is just see where the individual number fall into, right? So like this for number 4, let's make it a bit smaller. So 4 will be at the end. Now I'm going to write down like this, 4. Then I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do like this. So in the end, what will it look like? It will be 30,854 in this case over here. So if I were to just write it down as such, a little bit smaller maybe, right? It will look something like this, right? So the 8 goes down, 5, 4, and 30. That's why you see over here. Okay, so in this case, let me just make this at the end. Reorder, set to the back. Oops. Okay, reorder, send back. Okay, it will look something like this. So the answer to this will be option number 2 in this case over here. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 6. So question number 6 says, right, Jules worked 5 3/4 each day. Vern worked twice the number of hours that Jules worked each day. How many hours did Vern work each day in this case over here? All right, so let's write it down. Basically, Jules, right? Or joules worked, in this case, 5 3/4. So I'm gonna write it down 5 here, and then 3 4 with a line in this case. Right, so 5 3/4, and then Vern worked 2 times as much, twice. So twice means, right, 2 times. Okay, in this case over here, right? So for this, Vern worked 2 times as much as joules. Okay, so what you need to do when you have a mixed number that is multiplied by 2 is you need to convert this into a improper fraction. Okay, so Vern worked 2 times as much as joules, right? So with this, let's make it easier. So this will be, in this case, right, instead of equal to 5, so we're going to make this into an improper fraction, which is, in this case, right, is 5 times 4 plus 3. Okay, so your in this case over here, we need to multiply the denominator plus the numerator, and what this will give us is 5 times 4 plus 3 will become 23/4. Okay, so now we know that the improper fraction is 23/4 for joules. That means for Vern, what we can do is we can have, right, in this case, 2 times 23/4. Oops. Okay, and basically this is the same as 2 times 23/4. I know I'm repeating the same number, but it's basically these 2 times, right? 2 times 23/4. Okay, so let me just put here. Okay, and this will give us, right, 46/4. Right, 23 times 2 is basically 46 in this case. Right, then we need to divide 46/4. Okay, we can do our workings with this. Right, so with this, 46 divided by 4, we can have 4, right? We can minus 4 with 4, and this basically will give us 1. And then after that, this will give us 6, right? So this will return us 6. Okay, and then we can minus 4 from here, right? So let me put a space here, right? Then we can minus 4 again. And then for this, we can put here as 11, right? I mean, if you were to look at the answer, there's only one 11 whole number over here. Okay, but either case, we can then put a line, and we will have the number 2 in this case. So the quotient over here, 2, will be the numerator. I mean, the quotient will be 11. The remainder will be the numerator. So that means in this case, this will become 11. And then we have 2/4, right? So I'm going to duplicate this, right? This will be 2/4. Okay. So since we have 11 2/4, if we simplify again, this will then give us 11. So 2/4, we can divide it by 2, right? So let me just have a divide over here. Divided by 2. Make it a little bit smaller, like this. Okay. And now this will be 1. Oops, this one is 2. So 11/2. That's what you see over here. So the answer to this is option number 4 for question 6. All right, let's move on to question 7. It says here, arrange the following decimals from greatest to smallest. So you have 0.303, you have 0.33. I mean, this is nothing, and then 0.03. So in this case, how do we know which one is bigger and smaller? So what we need to do is, first is make all. So step 1 is to make all decimal number to the longest decimal place. Okay, So that's step one. Step one is to make all the decimal number to the longest decimal place. So in this case, it will be 0.303, right? So longest decimal place is equal to 3 decimal place, right? So that means this will be 0.303. Then we have 0.330 and we have 0.033. Okay. Then from here, you can actually get your answer, right? So 0.303, 0.330, 0.003. So we know the smallest is here. Okay, so I'm going to write here smallest. This is the smallest. Okay, I'm going to make this very, very big. Oops. Okay, like this. So the smallest is here. And then which one is the largest? The largest is here, right? Largest over here. Okay, so then this will be the middle. So that means the answer to this will be, for this case, greatest, or greatest. Okay, will be 0.330, 0.303, and 0.33. Okay, and that's it. So the greatest, and this is the smallest again. All right, so the answer to this will be, okay, so now we know the greatest 0.330. So in a way, we have to simplify because we don't have 0 over here. So that means this will become, 0.33. That's what you see over here. So let me just write here. Okay, I'm gonna put an arrow actually. Arrow from here to here, right? So we just simplify. Okay, so that means we'll just duplicate here. That's the answer, right? So we just look for 0.33 and then 0.033 as the last answer over here. So that's the answer. Okay, there you go. So that's question 7. All right, let's move on to question 8. In the figure below, PQ and RS are straight line. Which of the following is true? So PQ and RS are straight line. Okay, so it says here RAV is equal to PAS. So you see RAV is equal to PAS. Okay, so they have another line to distract us. So what we want to do is we want to have the different lines to be, I would say, what they call these are marked. Okay, so these are two straight lines. Okay, what they want to say is RAV. So RAV in this case, which is an additional line over here. So I'm gonna use this thing. So RAV over here is equal to PAS. So PA and then S, right? So as you can see, that's not equal. So this is wrong. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Okay, so you say RAP, rap. So I'm gonna write this. Okay, RAP, I'm gonna put blank. RAP is this one. Okay, it's equal to VAQ. VAQ, this one. Is this correct? No. Why not? Is because these two are not the same line. This V over here are not the same line, even though it looks the same, but it's not. Okay, so the only way that this angle is actually only in this angle, not this angle, right? So in this case, you might be tricked, but this is wrong as well. Okay, let's move on to the next one. RAV and VAQ is equal to 180 degrees. Okay, so RAV, let's highlight that. RAV plus VAQ, 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 whoops, is here. Okay, RAV and VAQ is 180 degrees. No, because we are still left with this, right? So that means this is also wrong. Okay, so last one, PAS, right? We have PAS over here plus PAS, oops, plus SAQ, wait. PAS. PAS. Maybe, wait. Okay. All right. So you have P, A, and S. All right, right. Sorry, my bad. Okay, PAS over here plus SAQ. SAQ, which is this, is 180 degrees. Yes, it is. All right. So there you go. That's the answer. So as you can see, PAQ is a straight line, and that's where PAS and SAQ is equal to 180 degrees. And the answer to this is 4. Okay, there you go. Let's move on to question number 9. All right, find angle K in the figure shown below. Right, so you have one angle which is 114, another angle is 80, and another angle is K. Right, so we need to know K. So we know that in this case, one full circle angle is equal to 360 degrees. Right, so that means for angle K is equal to basically 360 minus 80 minus 114. Okay, so let's break this down. Okay, 360 minus 80 should be 280 minus 114. Okay, so if you want to minus this, you can do your workings. Recommend you to do your workings. 280 minus 114. Okay, so in this case, what is 280 minus 114? So 0 minus 4, this will give us number 6, right? Okay, so I'm gonna put like this, right? And then basically what we do is we put 1 over here. Okay, and then we take the 1 from our 8. So this will give us 7 instead of 8. So I'm gonna put a line over here. All right, so this 7. So 10 minus 4 is 6. 7 minus 1 is 6. 280 minus 114. Let me double check. 360, 280, 114. Yeah, correct. So this will give us 166. So the answer to this is 166, right, degrees in this case. So where do we get 166? Option number 4 as well. Alrighty, let's move on to the next question. Question number 10. Right, in a class there are 18 girls and 12 boys. What is the ratio of the number of boys to girls? Right, give your answer in the simplest form. Okay, so read this well. It says boys to girls, not girls to boys. Right, so what we can do is we can write down here girls. Right, so girls in this case will be 18, and then for boys this will be 12. So what they want is, remember, boys to girls, so we want to swap this out. Okay, in this case over here, right? So boys is 12, girls is 18 in this case, right? So then what can we divide with 12 and 18? Okay, so lowest, what's the lowest? Lowest common multiple nipple with 18, no, 12 and 18, okay, will be equal to, so 12 can divide by 6, 18 can be divided by 6. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do as well, right? So lowest common multiple between these two. So that means for this 12 and 18, we will divide it by 6. So this will be 2, 2. So 18 divided by 6 is 3 in this case over here, right? So we can just divide by 6 for both cases here. So divide by 6, lowest common multiple. Okay, so you divide by 6 and then you divide by 6 over here, right? That's it. So the answer to this is 2, right? Let's move on to the next question, question 11. Okay, what is the volume of the cube shown below? So cube, what's the property of cube? Cube means is all sides are the same, right? All lengths are the same, all sides are the same. So that means So volume of cube is equal to side or length times length times length. So length times, then you have length. Wait, let me just, okay, length times length in this case. So what's the length over here? So we know the length is equal to 7 centimeters. So that means you have 7 times 7 times 7. Okay. So if you know your 7 times table, 7 times 7 is 49 times 7. Okay. So what would this give us? So you can do the workings. So 49, right, times 7, right, in this case. So then what is this equal to? So 9 times 7, let's zoom this in. 9 times 7, it will give us 63. So 3, and then we'll put the 6 at the top. That's what you see over here. Okay, so 4 times 7 is 28 plus 6. This will give us 34. Right, 343. And the answer to this is 343 centimeter cube. And yep, there you go. Option number 4 in this case over here. There you go. All right, so that's the volume of this cube over here. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 12. It says a recipe requires 12 bananas to bake 4 loaves of banana bread. If Mrs. Tan wants to bake 24 loaves, how many bananas will she need? Okay, so we know that in this case, 12, right, bananas will give us, okay, I'm going to put arrow, 4 bread. Okay, so 4 loaves. Okay, 4 loaves. I'm gonna put loaves. Okay, so how much bananas do we need to have 24 loaves? Okay, I'm gonna copy this arrow. Okay, how many bananas? So if this looks confusing, then what you can do is you can reverse it. So 4 loaves equal to 12 bananas. Okay, in this case over here, 12 bananas. Okay, so from 4 to 24, how many do we need to multiply? So in this case, for 4 to 24 over here, we need to multiply by 6, right? Because 24 divided by 4 is 6. So 4 times 6 equal to 24. That means we just need to multiply 12 times 6. Okay, and this will give us 72 bananas. That's it. So you need 72 bananas to bake 24 loaves. So that's the answer, which is option number 4. All right, let's move on to the next question, question 13. So in the figure below, not drawn to scale, BE and CD are straight lines. Find CAD. Okay, so you see over here, we have C, A, and D. And we also have this parallelogram. That's what you see over here. Okay, and a big ass triangle. All right, so how do we get A in this case? Right, so since BAE is a triangle and we know one angle, that means we just need to get the other angle over here, right? So first, what we want to do is we want to get the angle, right? So angle, in this case, BED, right? So BED, right? So I'm gonna put this as red-ish. So I'm gonna draw this as well as red-ish, right? BED. Okay. So what will this be equal to? This will equal to 180. Since this whole thing is a straight line, BE and CD are straight lines, right? So 180 minus 133, and this will give us, should be 47 degrees in this case over here. So BED is 47 degrees. Okay, so we can write down here as 47. Wait, let me just copy this actually. 47 degrees. Okay, in this case over here. So now the next part is how can we get BAE, which is basically gonna draw another one. Oh yeah, I mean you already have that. So what I'm gonna do is angle CAD or BAE essentially is equal to 180 minus 60 minus 47. Okay, so 60 minus 47, so 180 minus 107. Okay, this will give us 73 degrees. Okay, and there you go. So what will give us 73 degrees? Option number 2 in this case. All right, there you go. The answer is 73 degrees. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 14. The figure below is divided into 20 equal parts. What percentage of the figure is unshaded? All right. So in this case, we know there's 20 equal parts, but what figure is unshaded? All right. So you can count now, right? Okay. So I'll say here the equal total equal to 20, and then unshaded you can count now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So unshaded is equal to 9. 9 equal parts. So percentage of unshaded, okay, is equal to, I'm gonna put this as here, basically, which is 9 out of 20, right? Let me put a line over here. 9 out of 20, and then we just multiply by 100, okay, or 100% in this case. Okay, 100%. And what would this give us? Okay, so 20 and 100, we can just cancel them out, right? In this case, right? So we cancel this out. So this will give us 5%. So now it says 9 times 5, which is equal to 45% in this case. So where is 45%? Option number 3. All right. All right, question 15. Find the sum of 10 plus 12 plus 14 plus something something plus 20 plus 22 plus 24. Okay, first thing first is actually the easiest way if you were to tell me is you just can list down 10, 12, 14. So we know that the pattern over here, right? The pattern from 10 to pattern 12 over here. Yeah, I'm gonna make this small, right? Is basically we add 2. So there's actually a pattern here that we need to know. So 10 to 2 over here is actually we plus 2 in this sense over here, right? So can I move this? Okay, doesn't matter. So we have to plus 2 over here. Okay, so that's why we have even numbers 14, 16, and then 18, then 20, then 22, then 24. Luckily, this is a very simple question where you can actually add all those up and you get the right answer. But what if the number over here is like 100 and something, right? So first we need to know from this pattern how many numbers are there. So you have 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, and 24. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so in this case 8. So now so amount of numbers, right, in this case is equal to 8, right? We have 8 numbers. So now we know the amount of numbers. Okay, so I'm gonna remove this and maybe put it over here instead. So 12, and then you have 10. Oops, you have 10 over here. Okay, then this thing, let me just remove. So 10 and 12. Okay, I'm gonna put an arrow like this. All right, so this one, put it beside here. Okay, whatever. I'm gonna put here just plus 2. So that's the pattern now. Okay, so the pattern which is plus 2 in every case over here. So we have the amount of numbers. Next thing is we also have, so since it's plus and plus, right? So this and this, okay, so 10 plus 24. So I'm going to put an arrow again. So 10 plus 24 over here. Okay, and this, if you were to plus this will give us, so one pair sum is equal to 10 plus 24, which is equal to 34 in this case over here, right? So with 10, 12, and 22 is the same as well. I'm gonna maybe make this red. Okay, I'm gonna red, and then this. So I'm gonna put another arrow over here. Okay, I don't think I can move this. Right, okay, maybe I'll put the arrow at the bottom. So red, green. So I'm gonna move this green. So I'm gonna add plus as well, right? Plus, okay. And then all of the pair sum will just lead you to the answer 34. Okay, so now we know that where one pair of sum is 34. So number of pairs, since it is a total of 8, we just divide by 2. So 8 divided by 2, and this will give us 4. And since we know one pair sum is 34, or one pair sum is 34, then 4 pair sum is equal to 4 pairs. Sum is equal to basically 4 times 34. In this case, so let's do our working. So there is an empty space at the bottom. So 34 times 4, right? So what will this give us? Okay, so what's 4 times 4? So 4 times 4 in this case will give us 16. Gonna put 1 over here, right? Whoops. Gonna put 1 over here. And then 3 times 4 is equal to 12. And this will give us 136. There you go. The answer is 136, which is option number 3. Alright, that's it for paper 1. If you want to continue to paper 2, I think there's a link somewhere. But if you like this video, give a thumbs up. If you want more of this kind of videos, subscribe down below and comment down what papers you want me to go through next. So I think this paper, you can download it in the description down below as well. Alright, see you in the next one. Bye bye.